I found real clotted cream in Ontario. Hey, hey! The good, the bad, the ugly, and the yummy of afternoon tea. Milton, Ontario edition. A couple weeks ago, we had afternoon tea for 2 guests at the Escarpment Tea Room in Milton, Ontario. This is my second time coming here. The last time was about 14 months ago. Not much has changed from my first visit, but let's dive into this review, shall we? Beginning with the positives, the good. The food here was good, but let's mention the tea too. Each guest chooses a tea from 8 tea options. Not a huge selection in terms of tea, but we were both able to find a tea that we wanted to have. It was proper loose leaf tea with proper milk pictures, so we're off to a good start here. Now, heading into the food, there was great variety and everything was fresh. The food here is served in 2 parts. Your savories are served on a tiered plate first, and then your scones and sweets are on a second tiered plate. For the savories, we each received 7 savory bites, and we had a plate of veggies and dip to share. The dip was under-seasoned and tasted like plain sour cream. The veggies were veggies. In terms of the savory bites, we each had a classic cucumber cream cheese finger sandwich, a turkey triangle, a veggie roll wrap, an egg salad, a quiche, and a brie and cranberry on a half scone. My tea friend had a salmon roll sandwich, seen here, and I had a second egg salad sandwich instead of the salmon because I don't eat salmon because I don't like salmon. The sandwiches all tasted fresh and good. I remember really liking the veggie roll wrap last time I was here because it had asparagus in it, but this time mine only had spinach and apple. I did hear the table beside us comment that theirs had asparagus. Lucky them. This time I enjoyed the quiche the most as it was different than the bread sandwiches and tasted good. After the savories, we like to eat our scones next. Here we each received 1 scone, and we had a shared pot of strawberry jam and real clotted cream to share. If you've been watching my reviews for any duration of time, you know that I prefer when each guest is served 2 scones at afternoon tea, and I don't love sharing the accompaniments, but at least there was real clotted cream served. Hooray! My tea guest and I both agreed that the scone tasted good. It was on the dense side, but it was fresh and we both really enjoyed it. A second scone would have been the cat's meow, even if we did end up just taking it home. For sweets, we each received a Victoria sponge cake. I believe the brown cookie was a mincemeat cookie for the holidays. There was a shortbread cookie, a small Rice Krispie square, and a chocolate-covered strawberry. The quantity of sweets was ample at 5 per guest. Always love seeing a chocolate-covered strawberry, albeit this one was very small from being out of season for such berries. The sponge cake with the fresh fruit on top was our favorite sweet bite. The other 3 cookies weren't so great. The shortbread had an odd flavor, an odd aftertaste. The mincemeat cookie didn't hit my palate nicely, and the Rice Krispie square, especially one this small, is maybe a little bit too casual for afternoon tea for me. Overall, the sweets were fine in count at 5, but they didn't make me fall in love, that's for sure. However, overall, I am classifying the food here as good. Onwards to the bad and the ugly, which we're going to do them together here, and that's because it is this venue. This tea room is in the front part of a cultural center about 10 minutes outside of downtown Milton. It's just a very odd place for afternoon tea. The room is small with not a lot of natural light. The tables are close together. It feels like Grandma has set up a tea room in the living room and dining room of her small bungalow. It's just not my vibe. To my knowledge, this is the second owner of this tea room, and this owner took over 1 or 2 years ago and has made improvements, but overall, you wouldn't go to afternoon tea here because of the venue. The venue does not add anything to the experience and makes this a very casual-feeling tea experience. And finally, the yummy, I'd classify the Victoria sponge cake and the scone as the best bites here. The savories and scones outperformed the sweets, leaving me a little bit discontented. This afternoon tea, which they refer to incorrectly as high tea in several places like on their menu, costs 37 Canadian dollars per person. which is about 26 US dollars per person. This price is on the low end for afternoon tea in this part of Ontario. So that's a very fair price, and price definitely wouldn't stop you from enjoying afternoon tea here. This tea room is listed in our Ontario Tea Rooms Journal, and they also sell a few copies of it here too. Overall, given the food, venue, and price, I am scoring this afternoon tea as 3.5 out of 5 stars, closer to 4, so let's say 3.8, shall we? If you're ever in the area, you should take a friend and have a casual tea time experience here. Don't forget to book in advance. This would also be a good venue to take children who are learning about afternoon tea too. They even have a children's version of their tea for $22 per. Anyway, would you attend afternoon tea at this venue? Please like this video and follow along for future tea time afternoon tea reviews.